Hello. My name is Hardeep. I've taken 2 gap years so far, and one of the questions that a lot of people ask me is that if they should take a gap year, and I feel like there's no right or wrong answer to it. It's just like when I've taken 2 of my gap years, there's a clear algorithm I followed in my head, and most of the people I know who have taken gap years that have had successful gap years also follow this algorithm, and I want to make this video going through the algorithm to be able to help you answer if you should take a gap semester or gap year. And first thing I want to go in this video with is that assuming that you're confused about your career and you do not know what the future looks like for you. And first of all, I want to acknowledge that's completely fine. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing most of the time. Most of the people in the world who may even seem like they have most of their shit together actually don't. And I think that's a completely fine place to be, and it's actually a pretty awesome place to be. And I think one of the things the first question you want to start asking yourself is, how do you spend your time on a weekend holiday when you have free time, to be able to answer this big question. And this is very important to answer, even though it might not look like, because even though you might have only 2 days on a weekend of free time, it really dictates what happens when you take those 2 days of free time and you expand it to like a semester, like 6 months, because that's a lot of free time all of a sudden. And there's a few things that where I usually see people answering. These are the 4 things that usually people answer to me with, and that usually chilling with friends or hanging out with friends. I think a good course of action here is to pause doing this and start giving yourself alone time to dive deeper in your interest. Something I want to really emphasize is to try to stay away from stimulating things like social media or anything that's like not exactly as per your interest, but you're just doing it to like a pastime. Like that's like the worst thing you could do to like help this figure out for yourself. So like, even just going on mindless walks where you just don't have any music, you don't have your phone, and you're just walking, thinking to yourself, asking yourself the right questions of what interests you, what you could possibly do with some of the ideas you have. Like that's a very productive use of time actually. So I think doing that is like very golden and very important. The second thing is, once you start doing that and start having this time to yourself, practice what you hope to do in this gap year on these nights and weekends. And after you start doing this, if you're going in good flow with this, whatever it might be, like say it's building like a social media channel on Instagram, like you really wanted to make content that you decided on like one weekend. So you make content every weekend on nights and weekends now, and it's going well. You're getting decent followers. You're enjoying the process. You feel like you actually might be able to make something out of it. You might be able to get sponsorship. Then I feel like it's like a pretty good thing to go forward with. And taking a gap here has like very little downsides. This even works like, you're making like a tech product. You have like a GitHub. You posted something on GitHub, and like things are blowing up. You're getting a lot of stars. Your product's being used by people that you respect. It's blowing up on Twitter. Then also possibly a good thing to work on a gap year. So I feel like once you have some momentum already going in, so you know what you'll be working on in your gap year, then I think this is a really good path to take with very little downsides. And doing schoolwork you utterly hate. If you're doing that on a weekend, I encourage you to drink copious amounts of coffee, cheers, and be done with the work of the week after as quickly as you can, so you can just disappear for like a little bit of time. Doesn't have to be for a week, or even a little bit of time works. But I feel like this is very important, because like sometimes if you truly hate the schoolwork so much and it's draining so much out of you, it's like very, very important to take a break, to be able to figure out what you could put your time in. Because the last thing you want to do is, you're not getting a break from school, and what you want to do is instead of taking a week off or a weekend off, you want to just take a whole fucking 6 months off. Like I think that's a really, really terrible way to go about it, because you don't have something in your mind to work on. You're like going in like a completely undefined gap semester, and like that like puts you at a lot of bad positions. Like, an ideal mind is devil's nest, or like whatever the saying is. But I feel like it's true. Like, all the problems, like you start feeling very worried about your future. You start planning. You start planning a lot in plan. I'm usually like a pretty big skeptic of plans. I feel like you should just do things. So I feel like definitely try to take a week off before first taking a gap semester. And again, same drill. When you take the week off, give yourself time to think of what you might be able to work on. Practice what you hope to do in a gap year on nights and weekends. If you're going in good flow with this, whatever this might be, whatever you're doing is helping you grow, then it might be a good thing to be able to go full time. And there's no defined metric to be able to say, like, if like what does good flow mean. I feel like whatever feels good to you, like if it truly excites you a lot and you're like, holy shit, working on this would be very, very fun. I feel like I'd actually put myself to it because in the past weeks I have, then it's a good thing to do. But if you haven't in the past weeks, then it's not a good thing to do. There's that. And if you never have time, start by taking a week off and staying alone. Try to do the things you have been wanting to do. And, same drill. I won't repeat that. And if you have been working on your side project, side business, internship already, which is something that you feel like you want to work on a gap semester or gap year, this is something you do on your weekend, then I feel like, probably a good idea to take a gap year. Very little downsides. And some of the things I want to mention before ending this video off is if nights and weekends ain't it for you, if you can't get in a flow of doing something you enjoy on nights and weekends, then you risk putting yourself in a state with, again, too much time in little direction. Ideal brain is devil's, idle. There is a typo there. There we go. An ideal brain is devil's workshop, and you don't want to put yourself in that situation. If you can't get yourself in a place to make something awesome and like something that you like on nights and weekends, then assuming that you would just magically be able to do it on a gap semester and gap year, I highly doubt that's possible. Unless you're in some sort of program, that you're enrolled and you're like paying someone some money to be able to do some international exchange or something, then I feel like that's a whole other ball game. I'm not talking about that stuff. And something else that I think concerns people often is money. Especially if you're not doing a job, an internship, money is a big problem, right? You're gonna have to be able to sustain yourself for 6 months. That can be quite a bit of time. And for some people, you may be fortunate to be able to have some support from your family. For people who don't have that support, I didn't. So a good thing that you can try to do is, I have a bunch of resources here. So I can also just list this. Actually, I have this in the bio of the video, but if you search up Deep.tube on Google, and you go to my website, you go to my Notion, you should be able to find this there too. And it just has a bunch of really good information about getting money, being in the right communities. I think I know a lot of people who've gotten grants from a bunch of these places I've listed in, so highly recommend. So there's that. So money should be able to be worked out as long as you're doing something remotely good for the world. And yeah, I think that should be able to be figured out. But apart from that, that's about it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Peace.